Namaskar. Welcome to this summary session of the 16th, 17th and 18th Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Gita. We start with our gratitude towards the Lord, with whose grace everything is possible. We pray to this Guru Shishya Parampara through which this knowledge has been preserved, transmuted for generations to reach us. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Pujya Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures, understand the meaning, and share this understanding with you. We start with a prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So the 16th Adhyaya is the Daivi Asuri Sampatti Vibhaga Yoga, which means Bhagavan demonstrates what are the divine qualities and the demonical qualities in each one of us. And the idea, the main purpose of this description is to attain the Daivi qualities and to discard the Asuri's qualities or Sampatti that we have. And this is the life-changing and the beginning of the spiritual journey. The 17th Adhyaya is called the Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga, means union with the Lord, the God, with the threefold understanding of the faith, the Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic. Shraddha, faith, is the foundation of our life and it determines all our actions and is a very important part of our life. And finally, the 18th Adhyaya is the culmination of Sri Bhagavad Gita. It summarizes the Gita Ji. It is called the Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. It is how we can attain moksha, freedom, liberty from all the limitations that we have, paripurnata, how we can attain that paripurna avastha, completeness, the perfection, by tyaga, by renunciation. And this is the final purpose of Gita Ji. It's also called the Moksha Shastra because it helps us to attain, transcend these samsara chakra and go towards immortality. So let us start with the 16th Adhyaya and understand it in Sankshepa. The first three shlokas, Bhagavan describes 26 divine qualities or Daivi Sampatti. Starts with Abhayam. Abhayam is absence of all types of fear. Let us just recite the shloka. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Abhayam Sattva Sanshuddhihi Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi Dhanam Damascha Yagnascha Swadhyayastapa Arjavam. Abhayam means absence of all types of fear. Fear causes a lot of bondage, a lot of limitations in this world. Fear from diseases, fear from a lot of persons, fear from things, situations, illusions, imaginations, fear of death, fear of a lot of things we have. And Bhagavan says Sattva Sanshuddhi, purity of the inner mind, is a great Daivi Sampatti because it makes us eligible to obtain the Atma Jnana. Gnana Yoga Vyavasthiti, steadiness in the knowledge, remaining firm, established in this knowledge by Yoga Sadhana. Dana, charity, helps us to become more large-hearted, to give up our attachments and possessions. Dhamma, self-restraint, control over our sense organs, Indriya Sanyama, is an important first step towards the self-realization. Yagna in today's world can be considered as actions done for the larger benefit of the society. In the Vedic times, it was the sacrifice or ahuti given, various kinds of yagnas. Swadhyaya, study of the scriptures and continuously self-observation, self-analysis, what we are, what we have to do, where do we have to go. And this is very important because it gives us a new understanding through which we can operate. Tapa, some willingness to endure pain for our own self-discipline, self-restraint, for our self-control is essential. Arjavam, simplicity, integrity in our body, mind and words, so that whatever we think, we do, we speak, we do, there is no discordance in all this. That is Arjavam. Ahimsa satyam akrodha tyaga shantirapayishunam daya bhuteshvalo luktvam mardavam hira chapalam. Ahimsa is non-violence, avoiding any harm to the other. Satyam, truth, honesty, integrity. Akrodha, absence of anger. Anger is a big Asuri Sampatti. Tyaga, to give up with understanding, to give away. Shanti, peace of mind, is a great asset for us. Apaishunam, absence of criticizing attitude towards the other. Daya, towards all the species, mercy. Alonuptvam is absence of greed. Mardavam is gentleness, mruduta. Re means shame. Doing anything unethical, illegal, we must have some kind of a shame. If we are shameless and doing wrong things, then it is a asuri sampatti. Achapalam, absence of restlessness or calmness. Teja Shama Dhruti Shaucham Adroho Nati Manita Bhavanti Sampadam Daivim Abhijatasya Bharata. Teja is radiance, enlightenment in the personality. Kshama is forgiveness, forbearance. Dhruti is the power to control all our rage, our emotions, our self-control with patience. Shaucham is purity, of outer purity as well as inner purity of the mind. Adroho is absence of revenge. Na ati manita means absence of craving for respect, for too much of respect. And Bhagavan says, oh Arjuna, these are all the virtues of the person who are born with this divine wealth, Daivi Sampatti. From the fourth shloka onwards, Bhagavan starts describing the Asuri Sampatti, and that goes on till the end of the Adhyaya. Bhagavan says, these are all the Asuri Sampattis. Dambha, hypocrisy, to show something that we are not. Darbha, Darpa means arrogance, some pride. Abhiman is self-pride, egotism, out of a self-centeredness. Krodha, anger. Bhagavan has already said Akrodha is a Devi Sampatti. Here he says Krodha is a Asuri Sampatti. Parushyam, harsh words. Mruduta is already said is Mardavam is a Devi Sampatti, whereas Parushya, harsh words to inflict pain to the others, is Asuri Sampatti. Ajnana, because all this comes out of ignorance of our own self, lack of understanding of the reality, and this gives rise to all these Damba, Darpa, Vimana, Krodha, Parushya. Bhagavan says, Daivi Sampatti Vimokshaya, divine qualities lead to liberation, moksha, and that is the main purpose of attaining divine qualities, and demonical qualities lead us to this bondage in this Sarsar Chakra. Oh Arjuna, Ma Shuchaha, don't worry Arjuna, he gives a big solace to Arjuna that you are born with divine qualities. In a sense, Bhagavan is telling all of us, Jiva, that now that you are listening to Gita Ji, obviously this is Swadhyaya, and that's why you have this Devi Sampatti which can lead to moksha, and that's what we need to understand. Then Bhagavan says, in this world, there are two types of people who are born. All of us have Devi as well as Asuri Sampattis. He says, I've already told you what are divine qualities, but now I'll tell you what are the Asuri Sampattis. So it says, Asuri Sampatti, people who have these Asuri Sampatti, they don't know what is Pravrittim Nivrittim cha. What to do, where to endeavor, where not to, where to retreat from. Na Shaucham, they don't know what is purity. Na Acharaha, their behavior is not proper. Sadachar, they don't know. They will behave in any irrelevant manner. Teshu Satyam na Vidyate, they are not honest with their words. They take help of Asatya. And how do they think about the world? Bhagavan says, Jagat Ahu Asatyam. They feel that the entire Jagata is dishonest, everybody is dishonest. Apratishtam, that this world has no pratishtha, no support, no adhara. It just goes on and on. There is nothing like Ishvara. There is, this world is just created by attraction of the two sexes, and that's how this world keeps going on. There is no support, there is no adhara, there is no adhisthana of this world. So this is their thinking. And what happens to their life with such a vision? They become alpa buddhaya. They are limited intellect, nashta atmanaha. They don't achieve any higher goal. They are involved in violent actions, and they cause damage to this world, to the climate, to the environment, and they cause a lot of damage to this Srushti Chakra or the Sansara Chakra. They have endless desires. They are filled with hypocrisy, false respect, ego, and this is all because of mohat, asat grahan. This is all because of delusions. They are having obsession with the misconceptions, illusions, and that's why their decisions are not firm and clean, and they behave in their swachanda, in the irresponsible behavior. And they have chintam upashrita, they have endless anxiety, stress, tension, till pralayantam, till they come to the end, their death comes, and they are always in their life, they are attracted to sense pleasures by the understanding that this is all that life is all about. Life is only to enjoy, only to bhoga, karma and bhoga, work and enjoy. This is what life is all about. Bound by thousands of desires, they are devoted to kama, krodha, and all bhoga. So this is what they do. Anyayana, artha sanchayan. Even by unethical means, they will indulge in all the sense objects. And what is their mentality and thinking? They say, I have achieved so much. In the future, I shall achieve even more. Today, I have so much of wealth. In the future, I shall have much more wealth. Of course, Ruma says that wealth is important, but we must understand what are the limits of wealth. Not everything can be purchased by wealth. Not our peace of mind can be purchased by wealth. And then today I have won over so much of enemies. Tomorrow I'll defeat so many others. I'm so powerful. I'm the Almighty. I'm the enjoyer. I'm well-to-do. I'm very powerful. I'm so happy in sense pleasures. And all this is an illusion. This is what they feel. I'm very wealthy. I come from a good family. There is nobody like me. I can do many yagnas, donation, and I shall attain a lot of happiness in my lifetime. And all this is because of their ajnana vimohitaha. Their mind is deluded. They're because of the ajnana, the ignorance of their own self. And that is why they have all this understanding. With so many obsessions, their mind is clouded. They cannot think properly, clearly. They cannot take clear decisions. They are engrossed in the web of attachments, indulge in sense pleasures, and Bhagavan says, what happens to them? Patanti narake ashuchau. They are all impure people, are demoted to the hell. And they are obsessed with their self-pride. They are always, stabdha, always tight, not humble. They don't bend. They are indulging in wealth, respect, pride. Dhanamana madan vitaha yajante nama yagne. They do yagna only for namesake. Dambhena vidipurvakam, for show off without the methods described in the scriptures. So with so much of ahankara, bala, darpa, kama, krodha, all this abhyasuyaka, what did they do? Bhagavan says, Mam pradvishantaha atma paradeheshu. They anguish me, they create pain to me, who is sitting inside all this manusya, all these beings. I'm sitting inside Antaryami, Swarupa. Bhagavan says, and what does Bhagavan do to them? Bhagavan says, Tam aham dvishata. Those who disrespect me, those who are harsh, violent, they have become inhumans and they are involved in unpious activities. Bhagavan says, Shipami asurishu eva yonishu ajastram. I throw them repeatedly to this asuri yoni, the lower world, adhogati, repeatedly. Even the next sloka, Bhagavan says, those demoted to lower species, deluded people, are every birth upon birth, they are demoted to more and more lower species. And what is the loss they incur? Mam aprapya eva kaunteya. Oh Arjuna, they don't attain me. They keep rotating in this sansar chakra in adho yonis, adhogatis, and they miss the chance that the human life, which gives you a rare chance of attaining moksha, they leave this chance by the asuri sampatti because they are not able to leave. Next shloka, Bhagavan says, these are the three doors to hell. Trividham narakasyedam dvaram nashanam atmanaha kama krodhastatha lobha tasmate tatrayam tyajet. Bhagavan says these are the three doors to hell which destroy the very purpose of life. Kama, krodha and lobha. Kama is desires, all types of desires, physical lust, desires for things, desires for people, attachments, all kinds of wealth and what wealth and possessions can achieve. Anger, krodha and lobha, greed, having more and more. Tasmat etat trayam tyajet. Bhagavan says, therefore you leave all these three because they are the roads to hell. Bhagavan says, those who are only devoid of these three vices, they attain moksha, they attain salvation, and finally attain the highest param gatim, the highest self, Paramatma. So the spiritual journey starts with the first step is the asuri sampatti. We have to let go of our asuri sampatti, and then only there will be place in our mind to imbibe the daivi qualities or the daivi sampatti. And this leads to purity of our antakarana shuddhi. The mind becomes quiet, still, and it will become receptive to the Atma Jnana that we are going to listen from the Guru, from a Vedanta Vakya. And that Atma Jnana, Brahma Jnana, once we assimilate in our life, when it becomes from Paroksha to Aparoksha, then it leads to moksha, it leads to liberation, it makes us one with the divine, and this is the journey. And then Bhagavan tells Arjuna, Ye Shastram Vidimrutsyujya, and these words will be repeated in the beginning of the 17th Adhyaya also. One who acts against the rituals shown by the scripture and behave in their own likes and dislikes does not attain any siddhi, accomplishment, na sukham, not even happiness, neither param gatim, nor the highest goal. They miss all this, those who don't believe in the rituals of the scripture. And that is why Bhagavan in the final concluding shloka of the 16th Adhyaya says, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te. Therefore, consider that the scriptures are the ultimate evidence for Karya Vyavasthito, what you should do, what you should not do in all different circumstances. And having known the scriptures, you do all your actions accordingly, Arjuna, as considering this as your duty. And this human life that is given to you is the best chance for you to change your future, for your future life, or to attain the moksha. And to summarize the 16th Adhyaya, we must leave Asuri Sampatti and try and imbibe Daivi Sampatti. Extremely difficult to practice in life, very easy to listen to what Bhagavan says, Akrodha, being all this, but it's because of our past impressions, the strong Purva Sanskara, which are very drada in our Antakarana, and this requires a lot of constant awareness for the change. We need to listen to the Guru, the Shastra, constantly do self-observation, introspection on a regular basis, and look into ourselves like seeing in a mirror. This is not for judging others, that others have Asuri Sampatti or others have Devi Sampatti. It is for us to change ourselves. That is the purpose for which Bhagavan Shri Krishna tells us all these Devi and the Asuri Sampatti to make a change in our life. So now let's start the 17th Adhyaya. 17th Adhyaya is called the Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. It's the union of the God with the threefold faith. Faith is a very important foundation of our life. It leads to a lot of belief systems, our thoughts, all our life and actions, and everything is determined by our faith. And that's why Bhagavan in this Adhyaya describes very different types of things like ahara, food, very, very important part of our life. Yagna is a type of karma, tapa and dana. It describes all the three types, the Shraddha Traya, means three types, the Sattvic, Rajasic and the Tamasic. And then he, in the finally concluding, describes the three types of the names of the Brahma, Om, Tat and Sat, how it should be chanted, when it should be chanted, and what it leads to. Bhagavan describes in this Adhyaya. So let's start with the first shloka of the 17th Adhyaya. It starts with Arjuna's question, Ye Shastra Vidin Utsrujya, one who works without, devoid of the rituals that are shown in the scripture. That is what Bhagavan has shown earlier, that he will not attain his life goal or be happy. But here Arjuna asks, but if he doesn't know the scriptures, he has not read the scriptures, but he works with faith, Shraddhaya Anvitaha. He does all his work with faith, though it is may or may not be according to the scriptures, because he doesn't know the scripture. Oh Krishna, what is their commitment? Tesham Nishtha. Ka Krishna, he says, what is their dedication? Is it Sattva, Rajas or Tamas? Whether it can be considered Devi Sampatti or it can be considered Asuri Sampatti. Oh Krishna, please tell me. To which Bhagavan answers in the second shloka. He says, he doesn't answer clearly, but he says, there are three types of faith according to our nature, our sanskara, sattvic, rajasic and tamasic, that you listen from me, Arjuna. And he says that faith is very important. If you understand what is the faith system or the belief system, according to this, there will be our commitment, our nishtha will be based on our faith. And that's why if you understand the faith first, you will understand what is the nishtha or what is our commitment. And role of faith in a human life, Bhagavan Shri Krishna describes in the next, he says, this is according to our state of mind, sattva anurupa. Because sattva means antakarana, our mind is made up from the sattva ansha of the Pancha Mahabhuta, and that's why we can say that whatever is there in the mind, it reflects in our faith, manifests as our behavior. Shraddha Maya Ayam Purusha. Human beings are filled with a lot of emotions, faith, and yat Shraddha Sa Eva Sa. Whatever is our faith becomes our personality. So faith is very important. And how faith is manifested in life, Bhagavan says three types of faith, Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. And how it is manifested in life, Sattvic people devote to the Devas, the Rajasic devote to the Yakshas and the demons, the Yaksha and the Rakshasa, and the Tamasic people devote to the evil spirits, Preta, Bhuta, Gana. And this is how we will come to know what is that faith. And Bhagavan in the next shloka talks about Ghor Tapa. Even Tapa is a good Sattvic guna, but here Bhagavan says when it becomes Ghor Tapa, very strong, harsh austerities which are against the scriptures, which are done due to the hypocrisy or the faith we want to do show off, and may be inspired by desires or our attachments to those karma, then what happens, Bhagavan says, those unaware, achetasaha, those unaware people, antaha sharirastam karshayanta mam eva, they really give pain to me who is sitting inside the body of all the human beings, all the beings, antaryami, tan vidya asura nishya, and consider that this is a Devi asuri sampatti. And Bhagavan always glorifies the middle path, not the extreme path. Madhyam path is always glorified in the Sri Bhagavad Gita. In the next shloka, Bhagavan pledges to describe the three types of ahara, diet, three types of the karmas like yagna, tapa and the dana karma. And he says, listen to me in details. Bhagavan says, he starts with describing the sattvic ahara. He says, Such food is dear to Sattvic people. It doesn't say this is Sattvic Ahara, but says that Ahara Sattvika Priyaha, meaning such kind of food is dear to Sattvic people. Ayuhu, which increases the lifespan. Obviously, only nutritional food will increase the lifespan. Sattva Bala Arogya, which nurtures the intellect, nourishes the body, and gives happiness, peace of mind to us. Rasya Snigdha, it is tasty, non-sticky, lubricated well. Sthira, which gives satiety, and Rudya means which gives our inner joy, inner bliss to us after eating. The next shloka, Bhagavan describes Rajasic persons like such a kind of food which is Ati Katu, but very bitter, very sour, very salty, very hot, Ushna. Tikshna, very hot in terms of chilies. Ruksha means very dry. Vidahina means causing Udaha, very spicy. Dukkha Shoka Amay Pradaha, which produces pain, sorrow, and disease. And then Bhagavan describes what is a tamasic ahara. Such food is dear to the tamasic people. He says yata yamam, improperly cooked. Gatarasam, which is tasteless. Puti, smells awful. Is stale, which is impure. Uchishtam, and amedyam. Amedyam means which cannot be offered to the Lord. Such food is called tamasic ahara. The idea of telling all this, Bhagavan, is that we should try to make our choices accordingly from Rajasic or Tamasic food, because they affect the body of the mind and the mind both, and we should go more towards Sattvic Ahara. The next three shlokas, Bhagavan describes the three types of yagna, the Sattvic, Rajasic, and the Tamasic. First, he describes what is the Sattvic yagna, which is done with aphala kangshihi, which is done ijyate, which is performed without any desires for the fruits of the action. Vididrashtaha means performed according to the rituals as shown in the scriptures. Yashtavyam eva iti, done as per is my duty to do, is my kartavya. Mana samadhaya, with a very quiet mind if it is done. Rajasic yagna, on the other hand, is the one which is done abhisandhaya tu phalam, which is done with constantly keeping the goal, the fruits or the results of the action in mind. Dambhartham api, which is done for show off, for hypocrisy, for praise, to get some kind of praise from others. And Tamasic yagna is yagna which is done without method shown in scriptures. Vidihinam, asrushtanam, without offering food to Brahmins, without chanting proper mantras, without giving dakshina to Brahmins, and without any faith in the scriptures, in the Guru or in the God. These are the yagnas which are called Tamasic yagna. In the next three shlokas, Bhagavan describes what are the three types of tapa: the body, the sharirik tapa, the manasik tapa, and the vangmaya, or the speech tapa, by the speech. Tapa essentially means a self-restraint. Here Bhagavan describes what is that bodily self-restraint. Deva Dvija Guru Pragnya Pujanam, worshipping the gods, Brahmin, teacher, and the wise. Shaucham, adherence to purity. Arjavam, simplicity in our behavior. Brahmacharyam, having control over our physical, sensual pleasures. Ahimsa, practicing physical non-violence, are the bodily austerities. The next shloka, Bhagavan talks about the vachik austerities or the verbal austerities, which are Vangmaya Tapa. Anudvega Karam Vakyam, saying words which does not hurt others. Satyam Priyam Chahitam Yata, which are true, which are pleasant, and which are beneficial to the others, inspiring to the others. Swadhyaya Abhyasanam Cha Eva, and regular study of the scriptures, Bhagavan says this is the Vangmaya Tapa, these are the verbal austerities. Manasik Tapa, the restraint of our mind. What is this? Bhagavan says, Manah Prasada Saumyatvam, peace of mind. Saumyatvam means cheerful personality. Maunam, keeping silence by our choice. Atma Vinigraha, to be aware about our thoughts, self-control. Bhavasanshuddhi, having pure emotions and feelings. The next three shlokas, Bhagavan describes the three types of tapa, the Sattvic, Rajasic, and the Tamasic. He says Sattvic tapa is one which is done with faith and without the desire for results. Rajasic tapa is done with expectation of praise, respect, and reverence, and which is done with hypocrisy, where the results are not very, very, very temporary. And Tamasic tapa is the one which is done with delusion, mood grahena, unawareness, and which causes pain, yat pidaya kriyate, pain to others, pain to the body of others, and which is done parasya utsadanam arthamva, which is purpose of which is to give pain, misery, and destruction to others. This kind of tapa are called Tamasic tapa. So in the next three shlokas, Bhagavan describes the three types of charity, dana. First, he describes the Sattvic charity, which is done datavyamiti, as my duty, I should do it, I should give back to the society. Diyate anupakarine, which is done without any expectation for return. and deshe kale cha patre cha, done with an appropriate place at the right time to the deserving needy person. Rajasic donation, Bhagavan says, which is done pratyupakarata artham, which is done with an expectation of some kind of a return in the future. Phalamuddishya, by keeping in the mind the results, that's I'll get something again and again. Pariklishtam, diyate cha pariklishtam, given with hesitation and agitation. Tamasa donation is the one which is done inappropriate time, undeserving person, which is done without respect to elders, saints, and disregarding the other person. Now Bhagavan describes the three names of Bhagavan, the Brahma, Om, Tat and Sat are the names of the eternal Brahman. Bhagavan says, from this eternal Brahman, the entire universe, Brahmins, Veda, Yagnas, all were created. Chanting the name of the God makes all these actions that he has described so far, makes them pure, and that's why Bhagavan is describing here the names of the Lord. The first shloka, Bhagavan describes when Omkara is used. Chanting Om, all these yagnas, Dan, Karma, Tapa, Karma are described according to the rituals. People who are committed, Brahmavadinam, those who are committed to Brahma, they do all their actions by chanting Om, which makes all their actions pure. The next shloka, Bhagavan describes when Tat word is used. It says this is mainly used Moksha Kankshi Bihi Kriyate, for self-liberation, for moksha, for all these, when all these actions are done without any expectation for the results. Even in the Mahavakya, the Tat Tvam Asi, the Tat word is used for the Paramatma, which is the name of the Lord. And the next shloka, Bhagavan says where the Sat is used, Sadbhave, it is the existence, the existence of all is due to the Lord. Sadhu Bhave, Sat is the kind intentions, noble selfless actions. Whenever Sat word is used, it gives this implication. When we help inspire others, when we are compassionate to others, we become one with the divine. And finally, in the last two shlokas, Bhagavan shows all this karma, when they become Sat, he says, Tadarthyam, when they are done for the Almighty, for the higher purpose, then they become Sat, we connect with the divine. And when they are Asat, when these actions are done without Shraddha, without faith, then they become Asat. The starting of these Adhyaya was with faith, and the ending of the Adhyaya is also with this faith, and it's a Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. We come to the end of the 17th Adhyaya. Now let's start the 18th Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Gita. 18th Adhyaya of Sri Gita Ji is called the Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. It is a very important Adhyaya because it is the culmination or the summary of the Gita Ji. Bhagavan has discussed many important issues here, starting from Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Gnana Yoga, Gnana Nishtha, Gnana Sadhana, and all this moksha. How moksha can be achieved by renunciation, what all we have to renounce to achieve moksha. And even our Upanishads tell us that Tyagene kai amrutatva manashuhu, only with Tyaga we can achieve moksha. Amrutatva is not otherwise possible. And this Adhyaya summarizes what all Bhagavan has said earlier in the Gita Ji. So it starts with the first sloka where Arjuna asks what is the difference between Tyaga and Sannyasa. These are the two words frequently used in Gita Ji in terms of karma, karma phala, and that's why Arjuna is still not very clear. Again, he wants to understand. This confusion was there in the third Adhyaya starting shloka, and in the fifth Adhyaya he asked again whether sannyasi is a good lifestyle or karma yogi or yoga is a good lifestyle. This question was at the beginning of the fifth Adhyaya. The same question is coming here. Arjuna wants to make it very clear what is Tyaga, what is sannyasa, what is karma Tyaga, what is karma phala Tyaga. And Bhagavan answers very clearly. He says, all giving up all this karma, the sakhama karma, all the sarva karma, Tyaga is sannyasa. Sannyasa lifestyle, that is a nivrutti lifestyle. And Bhagavan says, what is Tyaga? Giving up sarva karma phala Tyaga is Tyaga. So when we renounce the fruits of the actions, then this is called the Tyaga, which is the karma yoga or the pravrutti lifestyle. And when somebody takes sannyasa, renunciates, then he is given the permission by the scriptures to give up all the actions which need to be done according to the scriptures. All the duties and all this has been given up. So all the karmas are given up for a sannyasi. Then Bhagavan shows the opinion of the wise, that some wise people believe that improper nishiddha karma should be given up, but one should not give up yagna, dana and tapa karma. And Bhagavan then says that you know what is the best. I will give you my personal best opinion, highest opinion. He says, Tyaga, understand that this is of three types, Sattvic, Rajasic and the Tamasic. And the goal of the karma is to create purity, Antakarana Shuddhi, Bhagavan says. And that's why Yagna, Dana and Tapa karma should not be given up, because they lead to purifying our own body, mind and senses. And only with this purification we can have a control over our mind by intellect, and then we can understand the Atma Jnana and do our onward journey. So how karma should be performed, Bhagavan describes with Viveka, with Vichara. He says all our actions, duty actions, Yagna, Dana, Tapa, Karma should be performed Sangam Tyaktva, he says. First, without any attachment to the karma, Kartrutva, by Nimitta Bhav, so that we are an instrument for doing this karma, and we are doing this out of the gratitude towards the Lord. Phalam Tyaktva. Phalani Tyaktva means giving up the desires for the fruits of the action, accepting the results as they are, as Prasada Buddhi. Kartavyaniti me partha, as if it is my duty, O Arjuna, this is my best opinion. In the next shloka, Bhagavan describes the karma phala tyaga are of three types, the Sattvic, Rajasic and the Tamasic, and starts with the Tamasic. He starts with describing the Tamasic tyaga. He says, whatever we give up, the niyata karma, the ones which we have to do with duty, if mohat tasya parityaga, because of moha, because of delusion, we give up all these actions, then this is called Tamasic tyaga. Our scriptures never prescribe giving up our actions. Karma tyaga is never given an ajna in the scriptures, but only with a suitable person, adhikari, who is eligible, he has done his karma yoga sadhana, as antakarana shuddhi. For that person, it only permits giving up actions to take the sannyasa marga. The Rajasic Tyag, Bhagavan describes in the next shloka. He says, whatever actions we give up because of dukkha, klesha, bhaya, out of fear, miseries or out of pain, then this is called the Rajasic Tyaga, does not give us any fruits of the Tyaga actions. And then it describes what is the Sattvic Tyaga, which is done when we do all our duties, enjoined duties described by the scriptures. We do it with Sangam Tyaktva, Phalam Tyaktva, by renouncing the attachments to the karma, Karmasakti, Kartrutva Asakti, and Phalam Tyaktva. Phalam Tyaktva means Phalasakti Tyaktva, means the devoid of the fruits of action, Phalasakti. Then this is called a Sattvic Tyaga. And scriptures never tell us to renounce the karma, but we need to renounce the karma phala tyaga, renouncing the fruits of the action. That is the path of the karma yoga. And then this karma yogi, where does he reach to? He does not have any dvesha, he does not have any raga, no attachments, no anguish. He becomes sattva shuddhi, he develops intakarana shuddhi, becomes medhavi, pure shuddha, sattvic mind and intellect to hold the truth in his heart. And all his doubts are cleared by logical thinking, by the scriptures. He takes the yukti, which is described in the scriptures. And the next shloka, Bhagavan says that it is not possible for us to renounce all actions completely, because we are so attached to all our karma, kartrutva. But what we need to do is to renounce the fruits of action. And that person who renounces the fruits of action is a real tyagi, not the one who renounces the actions. And then after this description, Bhagavan now describes the three types of karma phala. He says, one is anishtam. Anishtam means I didn't expect. And this gives rise to adhogati or a naragati for our onward journey. Bhagavan is describing our onward journey based on our karma phala theory. The second is ishtam. I did expect. This was a good result. Urdhvagati, swargagati, and mishram means a mixed world where we will remain in the manushya yoni. And these are the three types of karma phala after death, when we go on, a jeev goes on the onward journey. But Bhagavan says, Natu sannyasinam kvachita. For sannyasis, for wise people, there is no such onward journey, because they are not attached to their karma. They don't have kartrutva. They have akarta. They are known and identified with their akarta, atmaswarupa. And because they don't have karta or kartrutva, they don't have any karma. They don't have any bondage. They don't have any onward journey. And this is what Bhagavan is describing. Now, Bhagavan starts describing the 5 factors which are responsible for any karma. And this, he says, is described in the Sankhya Shastra, that is the Vedanta. For all the karmas which have been performed successfully, there are these 5 factors. And he says, one is the Adhishtanam, the body. Karta, the doer, the jiva, who identifies with the Kartrutva. Karanam, Karanam are the tools, the sadhana. The 10 indriyas, man and the buddhi. Pruthaka Cheshta, all different types of movements. And Daivam. Daivam is the 5th factor, which is the destiny, luck, Ishwariksha, which is outside the control of the Jeev. And Bhagavan says there are 3 means for doing actions. One is the Sharira, the body, Vanga, the words, the speech, and manaha. Manaha is the mind. So these are the three ways where all these nayam, dharma karma, vihita karma, or viparitam, the opposite karmas, the adharma karma, nishiddha karma are performed. And Bhagavan then shows the wrong vision, the samajhdari which is not correct. He says, when so many factors are involved in karma, if I believe that I am the doer himself, then this person is of a limited intellect, akrut buddhitvat, durmati, he is unaware, he doesn't have pure intentions. And Bhagavan also shows us what is the sumati, the true vision or the real understanding. When I do all the actions by understanding that I am the karta swarupa, I am not the karta, and my intellect is not bound to this karma phala, then even after killing the entire world, I do not kill anyone and I am not getting bound to my actions. This is the ultimate Vedanta principle which shows that Atma is the observer, the Sakshi does not get its Akarta Swarupa, does not get attached to the Karta or the Dvaita or the Anatma, which is the doer. Actually, this is the understanding. One is identified with its Sakshi, Atma, Chaitanya. Then there is no Hanti because he is not associated or affiliated with the karma and does not get bound to the fruits of the action. Next shloka, Bhagavan describes the three factors that inspire the karma. It is called karma preraka or karma chodana, and three factors that are needed to perform the karma is called karma sangraha. So the three factors which inspire us into actions is one is the jnana, gneya, the knower, and the gnata. Whereas the three factors which are important to do the karma is karanam, the tools perform the sadhana, the karma, the object of the action like walking, cycling, and one who performs the action, the doer, the karta. And then Bhagavan says that these, according to the Ganu Shastra, there are three ways, describes the three ways how this gnana, karma, and the karta are described in the three ways, the sattvic, rajasic, and the tamasic. Bhagavan says, listen to them carefully. I'm going to tell you. First, it describes the sattvic jnana. What is the sattvic jnana? He says, when we can see that there is one unifying, changeless existence, one within all the divided beings, then this knowledge is called a sattvic knowledge, to see that one Brahma Tattva, that Akhanda Advaita Brahma Tattva, which pervades all the beings, then this is a sattvic jnana. When we see all the divisions, the Bheda Buddhi, we see all the pruthak, nana, bhavan, pruthak, vidan, all these differences, then in all the living beings, then this knowledge is called a rajasic. And the tamasic knowledge is when we believe that one thing in this world, material world, like some bhoga, dhana, wealth, person, attachment, when we see that this is only the complete thing, this is krutsnavata, which is done without any logic, without any thinking, without any benefit, and the results of these are also very meager. This kind of knowledge, Bhagavan says, is a tamasic jnana. Now Bhagavan describes the karma, the three types of karma. First describes the sattvic karma, which is done as a niyat karma, as my duty, as my kartavya, according to the Shastra. Sangarahitam, which is done without attachment to actions or results, which is araga dveshataha, done without personal likes, strong personal likes and dislikes. Aphala prepsunayata, without strong desires or expectations, nishkamta, tat sattvika muchyate. These kind of actions, Bhagavan says, are sattvic actions. And what is rajasa karma, which is done inspired by desire to achieve something, done with ignorance or the pride that I have been doing this, I have done so much, I can do it, and with a lot of exertion, bahula ala ayasa, with a lot of exertion, tat rajasa udayitam. These kind of actions are called rajasa karma. And tamasa karma, Bhagavan says, is one which is done without thinking of anubandha, the effect, the after effects, consequences, shaya, the time, money, energy, peace of the mind which is spent in doing those actions, hinsam, how much harm it will cause to the others, and anapeksha paurusham, my ability, my capability. Without thinking of this, it is mohat arabhyate, which is begun by delusion without much thought. Then these kind of actions are called tamas karma. And then Bhagavan describes what is the sattvic karta, the three types of karta, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic karta. Sattvic karta is a person who is mukta sangha, who is without any attachment, is anahambadi, without any pride. Dhruti utsah samanvitaha, he does a lot of work with patience and enthusiasm. And siddhi asiddhi nirvikarha, remains unperturbed in success and failure. Such a karma yogi type of a person, samatva person who is doing his work with prasada buddhi, is a sattvic karta. The rajasic karta is the one who has a strong desire for the results, who is greedy all the time, who may turn violent if his desires are not met. who is not having a pure intention and who is filled with a lot of elation and depression, such a person is called a Rajasic Karta. Whereas Tamasic Karta, Bhagavan says, is undisciplined, unrefined, uncultured person who remains stiff, does not adjust. He's a cheater, deceives people, who is sadist, enjoys giving pain to others, is lazy, careless towards his duty, always in sorrow, keeps complaining, and Dirgha Sutri postpones his duties, work mentality is like postponing every day. This kind of person is called a Tamasic person. And now Bhagavan pledges to describe the three differences, the Sattvic, Rajasic and the Tamasic, based on the guna of Buddhi Shakti and Dhruti Shakti. So Buddhi and Dhruti are the powers of the brain, are the functions of the brain which are very important to us because they govern our life, and Bhagavan is compassionate enough to describe all this to us. He says, what is a Sattvic Buddhi? He says, Sattvic Buddhi is one that understands what is pravrittim cha nivrittim cha, what to pursue, what to give up, karya akarya cha, what actions to be taken, what actions to be avoided, bhaya abhaya, where I should fear, where is there I should be fearless, bandham cha moksham cha, what is the bandham, it is bondage, and what is the freedom. If this is what I can understand properly, this is a Sattvic Buddhi. According to Bhagavan, the Rajasic Buddhi is one that is ayathavat prajanati, does not know appropriately what is dharma, adharma, clarity is not there, karya, akarya, what is to be done, what is not to be done. This kind of buddhi, Bhagavan says, is a Rajasic Buddhi, and the hallmarks of such a buddhi is confusion and doubts because it doesn't know what is the correct thing to do. And Tamasic Buddhi, Bhagavan says, is adharmam dharmamitiya. What is improper, we see that it is proper. What is proper, we see as improper. This sarvarthan viparitanscha, whatever we see, always it's a reverse thinking. It's a completely opposite thinking, viparyaya. And this kind of buddhi, Bhagavan says, is the Tamasic Buddhi. And the next three shlokas, Bhagavan describes the three types of Dhruti Shakti, the Sattvic, Rajasic and the Tamasic. First, he starts describing the Sattvic Dhruti. Dhruti is a Shakti, that power to hold, restrain ourselves and to elevate ourselves. It's kind of the willpower, the self-restraint, self-power. And when avyabhicharini Dhrutya, when we regulate our mind, our activities, our indriya senses by the power of practice of yoga and the devotion to the Lord, this power is the Dhruti Shakti, the Sattvic Dhruti. Whereas the Rajasic Dhruti is when we do all our worldly material work, dharma, artha, kama, prasangena, as per occasion rises with the expectation of the results, phalakangshi. Then this kind of Dhruti is called Rajasic. Whatever hard work, passion that we do to obtain education, to work, to earn, to do all our work towards our family, all our wealth, gathering, possessions, all this is Rajasic Dhruti. And what is Tamasic Dhruti? When we are unable to leave our daydreaming, fear, misery, pain, sorrow, pride, ignorance, and all this, the intellect of the person is improper intellect, durmeda. This kind of Dhruti Shakti is called the Tamasic Dhruti. Now Bhagavan starts describing the Sukha, and in the next four shlokas, he describes what is the Sattvic, Rajasic and the Tamasic Sukha. First he says, listen to the three types of happiness which gains an end to all the sorrows. Sattvic Sukha, he says, is Agre Visham, which is poisonous or difficult initially, but Pariname Amrutopamam. Eventually it becomes like a nectar. Atma Buddhi Prasadajam, which is perceived in a very pure mind. This kind of satsanga, spiritual joy, is a lasting, pure Sattvic joy. Rajasic joy, Bhagavan says, happiness is something that is perceived by the contact of the Indriya and the Vishaya. So all the worldly pleasures, all the material pleasures which are perceived because of this contact, which initially Agre Amrutopamam, which initially is like nectar. We feel so blessed. Oh wow, it is so beautiful. When we eat something we like, it's beautiful. But Pariname Vishamiva, it is like poison because it may cause some disease, pain, sorrow, greed, and all the problems that are encountered. And that's why these are called Rajasic Sukha. And Bhagavan then describes the Tamasic Sukha, which is happiness which initially and later always confuses the mind, deludes the mind, which is Mohanam, and something like addiction, which does not allow the person to take a judicious decision for himself or herself, and which is obtained from Nidra, Alasya, Pramaduttam, from excessive sleep, laziness, and Pramada is carelessness towards our duty. Our attempt should be to change our Tamasic and Rajasic happiness, Dhruti, Buddhi Shakti towards Sattvic, and that is the essence. And in the 40th shloka, now Bhagavan summarizes this entire, the chapter, the part of the chapter, the prakarana of the three gunas he described so far. He says, in this world, neither in the space or in the heaven, there is no such thing which exists which is devoid of these three gunas, because this is all from the Prakriti, and Prakriti comes from the Maya, and Maya is also Trigunatmika. So from the Prakriti, all of us who develop, we are all having these three gunas, and we should try to persevere to be sattvic in our endeavor, in our work, in our personality, in our life. And the other idea of the Bhagavan is to describe something which is beyond, which transcends these three gunas, which is that tattva which we need to understand. So from the 41st shloka, Bhagavan starts a new subject. He describes now the Varnashrama Vyavastha, which was there in the ancient time. He says the four types of Varna, the Brahmin, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras, which are classified based on their natural karma actions, which are based on their guna, their qualities, and which are derived from the Prakriti. This was never based on the birth, but over a period of time, this Varnashram Vyavastha fell into disrepute. The idea of this Varnashram Vyavastha was that the goal of the human life is to obtain the Almighty. And that's why with this Vyavastha, becomes very conducive to adjust our life to obtain our life goals. And that's why there would be less competition in the life, and how we can elevate our life with this karma, guna, vibhaga, and attain our life goal. So now Bhagavan is describing the natural attributes of the guna karma of the Brahmins. It says Shama, Dama, they have a mind is quiet, they are restrained over their senses. They have a tapa, austerities. Shaucha, they are clean, they are forgiving, they are simple people. They hold the knowledge, that is the purpose of the Brahmins. They hold the knowledge and then they try to assimilate in the knowledge in their life. And they have a lot of faith in the God, the Veda. They never doubt the karma phala theory. These are all the natural qualities of the Brahmins. The next, Bhagavan describes the natural actions of the Kshatriya karma: Shaurya, valor, strength, bravery, Teja, self-confidence, Dhruti Shakti, resolve for a self-restraint. Because they are brave, they will not use their power or force onto others without a reason. Daksha, they are very skillful in all the warfare. Yuddhacha api apalayanam, they will never run away from the battlefield. They are dhanam, kind, generous people, and they are leadership qualities, and these are the natural actions of the Kshatriya. Next shloka, Bhagavan describes the Vaishya and the Shudra karma. Vaishya, he says, Krushi, Gauraksha, Vanijyam, agriculture, cattle rearing, and commerce or business are the natural actions of the Vaishya. And Paricharyatmakam karma, the service to others by following the orders, are the natural duties of the Shudra karma. Bhagavan describes that all these actions are different for different people, but the results are the same. So there is no superior or inferior action. All the actions are the same. It's only that over a period of time, we felt that this is the higher class and this is a lower class. And that's why they tried to subdue the other class. But in the eyes of the Lord, everybody is the same. And then Bhagavan is now describing that based on these swaswa karmana, our own duties, how we can attain the final goal of our life. Bhagavan is describing which is the goal, and the goals, there are two. Antakarana Shuddhi is the first goal, the first station, and then the next station is the moksha, the freedom by Atma Gnana. So how this can be achieved, what is the kind of the process? Bhagavan says, you listen from me, how you can, doing your own karma, with the right attitude, you can attain to the Almighty, you can go to the Almighty. What is that karma yoga? Bhagavan starts again summarizing. The next shloka, he says, Swakarmana tam abhyarcha. By surrendering all these, enjoin your prescribed duties to the worship of that Lord, Ishwar Arpana Bhava. And who is that tam abhyarcha? That Ishwar, Bhagavan says, Yatah Pravritti Bhutanam, from where all these beings are created, the creator, the Nimitta Karana of this universe. Yena Sarvam Idam Tatam, by whom this entire universe is pervaded. The Upadan Karana, the Saguna Swarup, the Virat Swarup of the Ishvara in this universe. And by this, if we worship our actions to this Ishvara, then Siddhim Vindati Manava, people will attain their ultimate goal. So Karma Yogi has to understand Ishvara, and Ishvara Arpana is a very important part of our Karma Yoga. And only with this there is bhakti involved, and that is the connection with the Lord through which we can attain the Lord through our own karma. Next shloka, Bhagavan says how our own swadharma, swakarma, our own duties are important, not paradharma, looking to others. Following our own duties, which is much more beneficial, even though there may be vigunaha, which there may be some defect, but this is still better than following others' dharma. He says, by this following our own duties, we will not lead to any sin, na kilbasha apnoti. There is no sin or no papa can be obtained. How we can change our karma to karma yoga, and we should not give up karma. Bhagavan says, all our karma duties, sahajam karma kaunteya, sadosham api natyajet. Even though there is some defect in your karma, don't give up your karma, because all actions have some sarvarambahi doshena. All actions have inherent defect, and we should not give up our duties. Just like dhumena agni ivavrutaha, just like the smoke engulfs a fire, all actions have an inherent defect. And the samajhdari or understanding is celebrated in our scriptures that we cannot give up our work, we just have to give up the karma phala, tyaga. Now Bhagavan is starting to describe the spiritual journey. He says how we can achieve these two goals of the siddhi. He says, asakta buddhi sarvatra, we remain unattached from everywhere. Jitatmana, one win over our own by self-control, our own senses, mind. Vigata spruha, all the desires are relieved from the mind. Such a seeker, he from nishkamta, he goes towards naishkarmya siddhi. Naishkarmya siddhi is to understand that actionless self. Naishkarmya siddhi, pramam. And this is only achieved, Bhagavan says, by sannyasena adhigacchati, by renunciation, by tyag, only by living. What all we need to live now is going to describe. And then he pledges to describe this jnana sadhana. After we attain the antakaran shuddhi, how from there we can reach to the Brahma, the final Atma Jnana. He says, what is that final and highest state of knowledge? Jnana Nishta. I'm going to explain to you. And then in few slokas, he describes this Jnana Sadhana, that after obtaining the purity of the mind, self-control by discipline, and renouncing all these five objects, by leaving, we have to leave our strong likes and dislikes, the raga, dvesha, all this we have to tyaga. Tyaga, 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 what all we have to leave, Bhagavan is describing. We have to make our mind quiet, still, eligible for this Atma Jnana. And then we have to do Dhyana Sadhana. We have to leave the company of people, enjoy seclusion for Dhyana Sadhana, eat less, regulate our body, mind, words. Meditation should become a priority of our life, and we should be committed to a strong dispassion, vairagya, samupashritaha. With this, we keep living. And finally, what we have to give up, vimuchya, ahankara, our own pride, our own arrogance, balam, the force that pushes us into useless activities, kama, krodha, parigraham, all our accumulated possessions, our greed, and we have to become unattached, and then we become quiet, still, and we become eligible to attain Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. We become eligible to attain that Brahma Tattva, which is the universal consciousness. So Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, one who attains his Brahma becomes very cheerful, is very quiet, na shochati na kangshati, does not have sorrows, nor has expectations, and samah sarveshu bhuteshu, sees that one Chaitanya Paramatma in all the beings, and mad bhaktim labate param. By this devotion attains my highest state or highest self, becomes a parabhakta or a jnani bhakta. And from there, Bhagavan says, this bhaktya, this devotee knows me very well, yaman asmi tattvata, as much as I am, suggests the upadana karana, the saguna swarupa of the Lord, yaha cha asmi tattvata, and what I am in reality, the nirguna niratkar chaitanya swarupa of the Lord, adhishtan swarupa, tatah mam tattvata gnatva, thereby knowing me truly, vishate tadanantaram, enters he knows me completely, becomes one with me. That is the phala, that is the benefit he gets. In Vedanta it says aham brahmasmi, that is a final aparoksha jnana, that initially it's the Brahma asti, that is a paroksha jnana, but now even I am the same Brahma, the universal consciousness, but aham brahma asmi, that is the final knowledge that we need to understand. And that journey starts with swakarma abhyarcha, to devote, to worship the Lord with all our actions. And Bhagavan says, mat prasadat, by my grace you will attain that highest universal self. So karma yoga is important. Karma has to be converted to karma yoga by our right attitude, that it also involves bhakti. And then what we need is the grace of God, mat prasadat, that you will attain the jnana nishta and the moksha. So clearly Bhagavan states what Arjuna and we all need to do, surrendering our actions with awareness, with understanding, mat paraha, become devoted to the Lord. Buddhi yoga mupashrita, use our intellect, become samatva bhav, machchitta satatam bhava. Bhagavan says, keep your mind always in me. That should be a goal, and this can only be done by chanting the name of the Lord while do all our activities of our life. Smarana itself is like a samarpana. And what is the benefit of this attitude? Machchitta, matpara. What happens? Mat prasadat. That person, by my grace, Sarva Durgani Tarishyasi. Bhagavan says, gets over all the difficulties, obstacles. And here Bhagavan also tells us, shows us a warning, aham tvam atatvam ahankarat nashrosyashi. If due to pride you are not able to listen to me, then vinakshasi, you will be ruined, you will go to adogati. Ahankara is our main obstacle. This mithya abhiman does not allow me to see the truth which we have to leave. And Bhagavan says, if you don't understand, then your nature will force you. If you take shelter of your pride, you will say, no yotsya, I will not fight. Iti manya say, if this is your misconception, which is mithya, ahankara, then even your nature, your Kshatriya karma, your Kshatriya dharma will inspire you because you have this strong sanskara of Kshatriya dharma in your mind. And then you will be still forced into doing this yuddha out of, even if you don't understand because of your dispositions by sanskara or by foolishness, by moha, even then you shall be forced into this battle because of your third sanskara by your prakriti. And Bhagavan says, not only you are dependent on your prakriti, but you are also dependent on me, the Ishvara. Bhagavan says, Ishvara sarva bhutanam riddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. He says, Arjuna, God is sitting inside the heart, the Hriday Kamal of all the beings as Antaryami. And what does it do sitting there? Brahmayan sarva bhutani, makes everybody go round and round as if we are going on a merry-go-round, yantra rudhani, as if we are sitting on a machine. And how Mayaya, by his own powerful magic of Maya Shakti. And this is a place where we can attain the Lord, though Ishvara is Sarvatra, Bhagavad Bhav is Sarvatra, but still the Praptistan, the attainment is only within us. That is where we can attain the Lord. So with this understanding the divinity, Bhagavan says, Tameva Sharanam Gacha, go to that shelter of the divine, Sarva Bhavena, by all means, O Arjuna. By his grace, Tat Prasadat Param Shanti, you will attain the divine bliss, which is the highest and the Shrestha Phala that Bhagavan can give, and which gives the Shuddhi of the Antakarana, which is the first step. And then Sthanam Prapsasi Shashvatam, the eternal abode, the moksha, is something that we can get only after we let go of the shelter of our ego and misconceptions. So Sri Krishna is concluding his message to mankind. He says, this is the knowledge I gave you, Arjuna, which is the most mystical knowledge, the hidden secret. Vibhurshyet, think of it in totality. Don't say, just pick up one sentence and yatha ichchasi tatha kuru. Do what you feel is appropriate. Krishna gives freedom to his student Arjuna after giving him the entire Uttesha, and then out of compassion wants to summarize the Gita in 2 shlokas. He says, this Sarva Guhya Tamam, this highest secret. Listen again to my divine words, Arjuna, because you are so dear to me. This is my final opinion. I'm telling you again, for your own benefit, for your upliftment, for your Shre Te Hitam. And it summarizes in 2 shlokas the Gitaji, the 2 lifestyles that is described. The first is the Pravrutti Marga, the Karma Yoga. It says, Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te Pratichane Priyosi Me. Manmana Bhava. Keep your mind always in me by Smarana. Madbhakta Bhava. Be devoted to me. Madhyaji Bhava, surrender all your actions to me by Karma Yoga. Mam Namaskuru, take my shelter, surrender to me. Bhagavan says, Mam Eva Ishyasi, you shall attain me. Satyam Te Pratijane, this is my honest place, my Satya Pratigna, because you are so dear to me, Arjuna. And the final message of the Lord Krishna is the Nivrutti Marga. Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Aham tva sarva papepyo moksha ishyami ma shuchaha. Sarva dharman parityajya. Renounce all your duties, all your dharmas, all your karmas by understanding, by knowledge that you are not the doer, by understanding that you are the non-doer, Atman. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Come only to my shelter, Bhagavan says. Aham tva sarva papepyo. I shall relieve you of all the sins. Moksha ishyami, and I will give you eternal freedom. Ma shuchaha, do not grieve, don't worry, Arjuna. It started with Ashochanam Vashochastvam and stops with Ma shucha, means that this is the Shoka Nivrutti, is the main purpose of Gita Ji, which is very, very important for all of us, the Jiva. And then Bhagavan describes the Sampradaya within the next few shlokas, that who is not eligible for this sharing this knowledge, one who does not have tapa, one who does not have bhakti, one who does not want to listen, shravana, and one who finds faults with me, despises me, asuya buddhi, dosha buddhi. These are the people to whom this knowledge should not be shared. And then Bhagavan praises the one who teaches Gita Ji or shares his understanding of Gita Ji with its meaning, He said, Bhagavan says, he is my Param Bhakta and he shall attain me only, will become one with me. There is no doubt about it. Again, he loves the one who shares his knowledge. The Vakta, he says, is most dear to me, Priya Kruttamaha. And he says, on this earth or in the future or now, there is nobody who is as dear to me as a person who shares his knowledge of the message of Gita Ji with the others by the understanding that they have. And then Bhagavan also appreciates the one who listens to Gita Ji and recites the Gita Ji. Says, Adhyayan jo karte of these dharma samvada. Bhagavan says, they are also performing a jnana yagna and they are keen to my devotion, my bhakti. This is my opinion. And those who cannot read and write but still listen with Shraddhavan, Anasuya, with faith without finding faults, Api Mukta, they also will be liberated and they will attain the auspicious lokas because of their punya karma, their virtues that they get by listening to this Gita Ji. And then Bhagavan finally asked Dhananjaya, Arjuna, two questions. Did you listen to this with a concentrated mind, O Arjuna? And the second question is, did your delusion, your moha, which was born out of Ajnana, did it get destroyed? Did it get pranashta? Did it get destroyed? And Moha Nivrutti was one of the important purpose of Gita Ji. And Arjuna answers to this question of the Lord. He surrenders to the Lord, and it's a beautiful answer. He says, Tvat prasadat, with your grace, nashta moha, my delusion has been destroyed. Spruti laptva, I come back to my senses, O Lord. Stita asmi gata sandeha, I am steady now without any doubt. Karishye vachanam tava, and I shall do whatever you say for me to do. His moha is destroyed. The purpose of Gita Ji is served, and this is what is a beautiful dialogue between the Lord Krishna and Arjuna, which Sanjaya could listen, and that's how he concludes the Gita Ji. He started it too after a question from Dhritarashtra. He started describing the situation on the battlefield of the Kurukshetra, and Sanjaya says here that I heard this beautiful dialogue between Shri Krishna, Arjuna, which was adbhutam. It was extraordinary, unbelievable. Roma Harshanam was thrilling, creates goosebumps on him, and he pays his gratitude to Veda Vyasa for this divine opportunity, because Veda Vyasa gave him this Divya Chakshu so that he could listen and see what was happening on the battlefield of the Kurukshetra, and he saw this great mystical hidden secret, Ita Guhyam Paramam, the highest and the best message, Yogam, which is a solution to all the problems, Yoga Sadhana Upaya, and he heard this message from none other than Sakshat Kathayata, Swayam Krishnat Yogeshwarat Krishna, himself, the Lord of Yoga, Shri Krishna himself. Sanjay again expresses his joy and good fortune that he could get this opportunity to listen to this wonderful dialogue. He says, and this is Punyakari, which is a lot of, takes away all the sins. And he says, again, I'm overjoyed again and again. And then mesmerized Sanjay also remembers the Vishwarupa. He says, that wondrous form of Bhagavan. He recollects, remembers again and again. And he says, I'm greatly astonished. Oh Rajan, oh Dhritarashtra, I feel thrilled again and again. And having been this, and Sanjay finally concludes in the last shloka of Gita Ji, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhuti, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. He says, wherever there is Yogeshwara Krishna, the Lord of Yoga, Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, wherever there is an ace archer like Arjuna, Tatra Shrihi, Shrihi means wealth, all the types of wealth, Vijaya, victory, Bhuti, all the types of accomplishments, Vibhutis, Dhruvaniti, all that focused strategy, unflinching strategy, that steadfast strategy, Matir Mama will be there, he says, and that's why he indirectly tells Dhritarashtra that Krishna and Arjuna are on the Pandava side, and there will be victory on that side, there is no doubt about it. Better you stop the war, you are the king, if you can still stop the destruction, further destruction, but that was in vain because Dhritarashtra was still in his moha of his putra, of his sons, and that's why he could not clearly see it, the destruction, and the Mahabharata war continued, and finally the Kauravas had to be defeated, the Pandavas won over, and that is how the Dharma won over the Adharma. And so understanding for us individually is that with our efforts, our Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Yoga Sadhana, and then Mat Prasadat, by the grace of the Almighty, we can reach to all the siddhi, all the success that will be definite. There is no question about it, that we can reach to our goals. So with this, we come to the end of the 18th Adhyaya. Om Tat Sata Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुन संवादे मोक्षसंन्यासयोगो नाम अष्टादशोऽध्यायः। अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता सम्पूर्णम्। It is customary to recite the first shloka of the Gita Ji at the end of the Gita Ji so that we can keep on repeating or revising the Gita Ji again and again. Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Mamakah Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Gururdevo Maheshwaraha Gurursakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.